Hello there, Chris Piercer here of Wedding Industry Wisdom. Hopefully soon to be joined by Jack Brister. This is the second one, so I think I can now safely say this is our now regular 7 p.m. Facebook Live slot. So hopefully Jack will be joining us shortly. We have a minor agenda going on. But yeah, Jack is not even here yet, so we're not scheduled to start for a few minutes, so I'm going to give you a chance to people to join in. Jack has just said ready when you are. I'm live now, so I'll message him back. And you can get a strange look at me as I text on my phone. There we go. Let's invite a whole bunch of people and just see if they want to turn up and say hello. A number of different things we're talking about today. Probably. Let's see what happens. And Jack's decided to turn up, so that's nice. So let's add Jack in as he is the co-host. Hello there.
You right?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm very well. Hang on, I'm just trying to get... Oh, it's gone again.
Sorry, pause for a second there. That was my bad.
It's okay, I'll let you off.
I make it 7 o'clock.
I make it 7 o'clock too.
Should we start recording then?
You'll have to let me open up Audition first, but yeah.
I don't know. It's just one thing after another with you. So let's let you know. We will be announcing the results of the 5-day challenge today at the end of the episode. I will probably be repeating this message in just a minute because we are obviously now recording this as part of a podcast. So obviously we were aware that the live videos are a little bit difficult to catch up on. So we have decided to do it as a podcast as well. So you can, we can tag you in it, share something or other so that you've got the link for that. Not sure what the address is at the moment. I did create a link.
Hello, sorry,
Jack,
I disappeared for a second there.
Covered in lead again.
It's okay, that's because I was fixing it, so it's now okay. And I am ready to record, so we're ready to get going.
Okay. I am now recording that volume. Okay.
Me too.
So hello everyone, Chris Pierce here, Wedding Industry Wisdom, joined as always by Jack. Say hello, Jack.
Hello, Jack. I'm going to do it every week. I'm sorry.
Oh God, don't do it every week. It's embarrassing. It's not even funny on like I know this is funny, so I'm going to keep doing it kind of way. It's just embarrassing. But there we go. So we'll be announcing the winners of the 5-day challenge competition. Now, obviously, this is something I completely thought of randomly. I mean, what's your thoughts on it, Jack? On how people did with it and whether they got the idea behind it and everything.
I think it went really well. I think so. We had quite a few people who went through the whole 5 days, and what I think is really interesting about it is how it actually works, because it's easy to write a lot about your business. Most of the time, it's easy to kind of describe what you do in 20 words or something like that, or you can do that. But when you're getting down to things like 12, 10, 9, 7, 3 words, it gets very difficult because you really have to think about every single one of those words. They become very, very important in their own individual way. So it's really interesting to see how some people did. And those of you who went through the whole 5 days, hopefully will have taken something away from that in describing how your business works. And hopefully you're able to kind of take those words that you've used and use them elsewhere. Because of course, in a lot of bios and things like that in social medias, and sometimes on like if you join BNI or things like that, sometimes they have little bio options and things like that. Then it becomes very important, and maybe you'll be able to use some of those things and some of the things you've learned by doing that challenge to apply to those pieces of bio and copy that you might write.
Yeah, I think that started well, and then the sentence didn't end
It,
particularly well.
yeah, I apologise for that. It kind of went a bit off there, didn't it?
Can I sound intelligent for a second?
Please.
So there's an Ernest Hemingway quote that says,
Oh God, you're not going to do this, are you?
he says, "I would have written you a short letter, but I didn't have enough time." And I think I think that's exactly what this is all about. I mean, it's when you're trying to eke out as much value from every single word. I think this is why it becomes difficult. But this became particularly apparent about 5 minutes ago. So I'm just going to shut the windows 1 second, just so the podcast has the best audio possible rather than cars going past. Yeah, there's a post on a group saying, "Oh, I'm looking for on a Facebook wedding group saying I'm looking for a photographer for August 2020." Now, if you remember of any particular wedding group, you know that when people ask for photographers, they get absolutely inundated with people. It's absolutely insane. I just want to say a quick hello to Julie and Danny and Jessica and Denise.
Denise is
Thank you for
here.
joining us tonight. So, yeah, you get absolutely inundated. Well, people putting these posts up get inundated with people looking for, of people going, "Oh, I'm a photographer," and then because there are so many photographers out there, and so many people are writing droves and droves and droves of, "I do this, no, I do that, and I do," and a lot of it looks exactly the same. So if you could drill down exactly what your business does in 3 words, and just have that and then a link that made people go, "Holy shit, I've got to get this person," because they've not rambled on, they've not kind of chatted loads of nonsense and used lots of pretty words. They've just got straight down to the point and said, "This is exactly who we are and what we do." And then, check out my stuff if you like my style. You like it, if not, you're not. And so I think it was a really, really useful exercise. I thought anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
announcing the
think
winner.
in that particular example, it's interesting because obviously when we are running businesses, we want to be working, and we've talked about there are 3 types of people. You've got your fast laners, your middle laners, and your slow laners. You want to be working with as many fast laners as possible. These are people who are quick decision makers, just decide what they want and then go and get it. And if you are able to distill down into 3 words or 6 words in exactly what your business does, you're going to attract more of those kind of people. And that's exactly what you want to be doing because it just saves you so much time.
Yeah, completely. And yeah, I think it's something that will serve you well in the long term. And I think some people on a few of them, they didn't put in as much effort as they could have done, and it's a nice exercise to perhaps revisit, particularly if you maybe have a rebranding or something like that. So that was good, and we'll be announcing the winners of that challenge at the end of the episode. Now, as always with these lives, we want to serve you and give you the best information or most useful information possible. And we did have a request to talk about how you can get your wedding business noticed without attending wedding fairs.
Before we come on to that one, I think it's very
Oh,
important we answer the first question that's come on the live, which is from
oh,
Lawrence Turner asking if we like hammocks. Chris, what is your opinion on hammocks?
hammocks are great. I wouldn't want to use one at the moment, given the horrendous condition of my back. But in general, I think hammocks are fantastic.
It depends on the kind of hammock. I'm not a big fan of those freestanding hammocks, but if it's tied between 2 big trees and it's like a big proper hammock, I'm
That's
all
a
over that.
Yeah, that's a proper hammock. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
a,
Not
free, a
not one of those
freestanding
freestanding
hammock
ones.
can go home. It's not, it's
It,
cheating. It's not a real
so,
hammock.
hey,
Can't, can't be
sorry.
self-supporting as a hammock. It's nonsense.
I know.
Um,
It's ridiculous.
like
Anyway, we'll move
now
on
that
to
that important question is answered.
exactly.
Look,
Move on
we deal
to
with the top level business driven questions here. We've got the first one. We smashed it out of the park.
smashed
Um,
it out of the park. Let's
smashed it out of the
let's
park.
talk about the getting business outside of wedding fairs. My first question is for those who I don't know who asked the question.
I'm gonna I'm gonna keep them anonymous. It is public
Okay,
information on the
that's
group,
fine.
but I don't know if they
Yep.
want to remain anonymous or not. Not that it's an
Okay.
embarrassing question.
My first question is why do you want to know? Because I only say that not because you shouldn't have business outside of wedding fairs, but if I remember the question correctly, it almost sounds like they don't want to be at wedding fairs.
Yeah.
To which my question is why? Because wedding fairs, it is a place where you are surrounded by your ideal clients, and they are literally looking for people that do exactly what you do. So I think you'd be foolish to go, I don't want to do wedding fairs because X, Y, and Z. I feel like
Yeah.
that is just the silly thing to do.
The other answer to that might be that they've absolutely nailed wedding fairs and they want to move on to another area as well. But I always say this to people: as long as you're putting yourself in the right wedding fair for your ideal clients are going to be at, then you're either wedding fairs work. There's a categorically work. You are being put in a room with people who want to buy wedding services. If you can't get work at a wedding fair, that's not the fault of wedding fairs, that's the fault of you. I mean, if you go back to the last one of these lives, either as a podcast episode or watch it back, we spoke quite a bit about wedding fair marketing material and bits and pieces like that. So it's well worth listening, going back on that. But outside of wedding fairs, I mean, there are hundreds, literally, of ways to be found out as a wedding business. Now, I mentally, for some reason, I don't know why, kind of tagged on for free at the end of that question about how to be found out. I mean, it didn't say that, but I kind of mentally, I don't know, what do you think? Am I wrong to think that?
I had done the same thing. I don't know if that was a reasonable thing to do or not, but
Matching
we can certainly.
brains.
I know we can talk about it from both aspects. We can talk about the free way and the paid way to do it to get business outside of wedding fairs. So one way to do it without spending any money would be to become recommended supplier at venues. Because venues that fit your target market and all of those kind of things that we've talked about before, and who are looking for or are going to end up looking for your service. And if you can be the person that they recommend, you instantly go up to the top of the books for that bride or groom, because they go, well, if the we love this venue, we are getting married at this venue, they must, and they're recommended by this venue, they must be good. And they know the venue, so they obviously have certain expertise and all that kind of stuff as well, and they know the venue better if you're someone who's there on the day. Obviously, I see it's Julie who's asked the question, who I believe is a stationer, but I always get that a little bit muddled sometimes.
I knew that it was Julie, but I didn't want to say just in case she didn't want to.
Well, she's put it on the post there, but
Yeah, so, yeah.
yeah. So I feel like it is a great way is to go directly to the venues and start asking them for recommended supplier things. Brett makes a great point that wedding fairs should not be your only way to market, much like there shouldn't be. You should not have one way to market at all, because
No.
if you put all your eggs in one basket, what happens if one day that thing stops working?
Yep.
Or what if one day? So if you got all your work through Facebook and one day Facebook went bust, obviously that's extraordinarily unlikely. But
Yeah.
in the rare circumstance it suddenly became unpopular, no one was on it anymore, you would suddenly lose out on all of your business. So you want to make sure you are marketing in more than one place. Definitely not just at wedding fairs, and definitely not just at one venue. Because you're just putting all your eggs in one basket, and it's a foolish thing to do. So it's a great point, Brett.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think targeting wedding venues in your area or within your target market is a great way to generate business for free.
Yeah, I completely agree. Danny German says, I don't know if I never know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I do apologize, Danny. While I get some work as a recommended supplier, most venues are shit at recommending recommended suppliers. Suggestions to change this. Well, I think that there needs to be some understanding of exactly what arrangement you have come to with that venue. I mean, if you're paying to be a recommended supplier, as I do at one venue, and there's some where I don't pay anything, you've got to come to an understanding about exactly what that relationship is. It may just be the case that Danny's a magician. For those that don't know, that when someone asks, do you recommend a magician you can recommend? They go, yes, we recommend Danny. I don't think you can reasonably expect them to sit there trying to recommend you as a person when the couple haven't asked, because at the end of the day, they are the wedding coordinator or wedding planner, whatever their role is at the venue, is to please that couple. So they can't be putting ideas out to the couples without them having that kind of say so into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the key thing here is you need to give them a reason to recommend you as well. If you are wanting to get more work through venues, you've got to give them a reason to recommend you in the first place. Now, people, I think, most of the time jump to the assumption that means that you have to offer a discount. That's not necessarily what you have to do. Sometimes that is the best way to become a recommended supplier that they actively recommend, but you need to find a way for them to go, by the way, have you thought about having a magician at your wedding? Danny's great. He's amazing. He does this, 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 and this. You want them to do the selling for you. And so you need to make sure that if you are going to be going to venues, you need to give them a reason for them to recommend you to their brides and grooms. And that could be some sort of special discount. It could be some sort of special addition, like an upsell you include for free.
I think it's more like an exclusive package. If you can say to the people, as your recommended supplier, I have the exclusive insert venue name here package where you get X, Y, and Z for the cost of just X or whatever it might be. I know that Jessica Hill is watching at the moment. She's just become a recommended supplier at a very, very exclusive venue down this way. And as far as I know, the way she got that work was by sending them the most beautiful, bespoke package of her work, to saying, "Hey, look at my stuff. This is what I do. This is what I can do at your venue." And just blow them away with sheer class, and just, holding yourself out and going, I'm amazing. Look at what I can do, and then you basically become unavoidable, I think. So, and at that point, the venue will then want to recommend you. But I think it's difficult as a magician because people in general don't go. Couples in general don't go and say to their venue, "Have you got a magician that you recommend?" So I think
Which is
half the problem.
exactly why you need to give them a reason to be recommending you,
Yeah.
even more so if you're a magician. It is hard
Okay.
because, no one ever says that. So
Yeah.
you definitely need to do that.
Yeah. Other three ways. Well, this is on a very boring. This is a very, very boring route. SEO. Your search engine optimization on your website. Now, if you have complete control over your website, then which I recommend that you have, whether you have you made your own site or whether you had someone make it for you, you should still have complete control over the content which goes onto it in terms of being able to edit and stuff. Just to deal with a couple of comments. Jessica says thank you and says you have to show your passion in your business. Absolutely, couldn't agree with that anymore. Denise says I always ask my couples if they wouldn't mind showing the venue their invitations. That's a great thing, get your work shown to the venue, and then the venue.
If you can get the couple to be recommending you to the venue, then that's a great thing to be doing. If you can find a way to make that happen where your couples are actively recommending you to the venue, saying you should be recommending this guy to more brides and grooms, then you're doing an incredible job there.
Yeah,
That's
great.
That's kind of the ideal scenario. So that's a great idea, Denise.
Matthew's joined us and says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late to the show," and waves. So hello. So talking about SEO, so your SEO is your search engine optimization. You should have access to your site and you should be able to edit the content on it. Now, SEO is an absolute minefield, and there is, we could talk on the subject for probably about a week and still not cover half of it. But it's something which it's a skill. It can be learnt. If you have a WordPress site, you can get an amazing plugin called Yoast, and that will actually score you on the various different things, because that's the kind of more the front end side of it in terms of what the site looks like and how it reads, and things like avoiding keyword spamming and stuff like that. But there are so many free courses out there on YouTube and for various different digital marketers out there. Kate Toon is one of the best in the world. She has a different courses at different levels. If you want to invest money in that, I think my sister invested £3 in her course, and whenever I have an SEO question, I can always turn to my sister because I know that she's going to know it because she's done this amazing course. But you can learn this stuff for free. I have a dual approach to it. So on the front end stuff, in terms of the content that goes onto the site, I'm in control of that, and I make sure that on the front end, all of it reads well. It's not overly spammy with the keywords, and it's nice and consumable and all that stuff. And then I've got my web guys. They deal with the back end stuff to make sure that the site speed is good, and all of that technical stuff that I have a fairly decent understanding of, but they have a better understanding of, because I would much rather just pay them a bit a month to make sure that I rank really well on Google, rather than waste a couple of hours each month, farting around in the back end of the website, possibly making things worse rather than better. So anything to add on SEO there, or have I just rambled myself into a daze?
No, you've made perfect sense there. I think Yoast is a fantastic app, and it's complete or plugin which is completely free. I wasn't sure if you were actually going to mention it or not, but it is a great way to essentially make sure that your copy text is written in the best way possible for SEO. There's a free version and there's a paid version. The free version is very, very good indeed, but the paid version I haven't got yet because I'm currently building out my new website. It will be on the new website once I've got it sorted, and it will hopefully be even better still. So yeah, I think you kind of covered that perfectly. Tom makes a fantastic point coming on to another reason another way you can get work outside of wedding fairs, which is building relationships with other suppliers.
Yeah.
He's a photographer, for those of you who don't know, and he often refers other photographers for dates that he's booked, which then means that I imagine in turn when those guys are booked, they recommend him back. And we are talking, this question was asked by a stationer, so I imagine that stationery, at some point you become fully booked where you can't process enough orders in time. You can be recommending on different stationers, and vice versa. It'll come back to kind of help you later on. I imagine, I'm not a stationer myself, so I can't be certain on that, but that is what I imagine happens as you get so busy you can't do that. So that's another great way is to build relationships with other people in the same field as you, and equally outside of the field as you. So if you can build relationships with photographers as a stationer, then, because the photographer is generally the second thing that's booked on the whole, after the venue's booked, the photographer is the next one up. So if you can build strong relationships with the photographer, who has to build a strong relationship with the bride and groom, or whoever it is that's getting married, because they are going to be spending all day with them very closely. So they build a very strong relationship with that couple. So if you can become the go-to stationer for a couple of photographers in your area, I guarantee you will get more work by doing that.
Yeah, I think that it's one thing that Tom does well, and we can definitely vouch for this because we audited his website. But he has a page on his website, and I think most good wedding suppliers in the know do have this. But they have a list of recommended suppliers who they say, go to these guys for this, go for these guys for this. So I realised by putting that on your website, you're sending people away, but you've got to, I think in business, you've got to give a lot. So if it will become cyclical. So, you pass some work on, someone books you first, and then they see your recommend suppliers list, and then they book a photographer. So for instance, this is completely backwards, but I got booked for a wedding at Lulworth Castle from their wedding fair, and then the couple phoned me up about 2 weeks after booking me and said, "Who do you recommend as a photographer?" And which is completely backwards for me. It should be the other way around. But Tom and Murray, who run 1,000 Words Photographer, they are recommended at Lulworth. And I said, "Oh, did you speak to Tom and Murray?" And they said, "Yeah, we like them. We just wondered if there's any others." So I did recommend a couple of others because photography is such a personal thing. I asked them what sort of style they're after. But eventually they did book Tom and Murray. So it all goes in a roundabout way. So at some point in the future, someone will say to Tom and Murray, "Do you know a magician?" And I'd like to think that then that favour will then be returned. Maybe they'll recommend someone else, but who knows? But yeah, it's that idea of building relationships with other wedding suppliers, creating a community of, you know, very high quality people, so that, you know, when the or people who work within the same ideal clients, there's no point having a recommended photographer who charges £4,000 when, you know, the clients that you deal with are only looking to pay £1,000 for a photographer. So it's got to all work as a system as well. But yeah, that's another great way of doing it for free. Social media, another way is free. And
How do you do that for free?
you just post a lot of stuff.
Okay.
No, it again comes back to the idea of always me. Tom says he always recommends me, so I'm touched. Um, well, the thing is that social media is free. You know, all of it is free. So you can, if you just keep putting out. I mean, anyone who's into the business side of business rather than the wedding side of business will probably have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V. He is very, very strongly of the opinion that you just keep putting out great stuff, and then you keep doing it, and 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 you give, with absolutely zero expectation of ever getting anything back. In fact, never. And he said, I mean, I was watching one of his videos this morning, I think it might have been, and he said that ideally you never even ask them for anything in return ever. I mean, that's essentially what the business model, if you want to call it, that myself and Jack have got here. We go live, we are putting out stuff all the time, we're putting out blogs, and that content is free, and it will always be free, and we'll always, the whole time this is running, we will always be doing this. And you know, we'll be giving out great information, stuff that we think you will find really, really useful. And then, should you want to work directly with us on a coaching call, should you want to buy one of our courses or whatever, there is that opportunity there for you. But, you know, relating that back to your wedding business, keep putting out great stuff. I mean, my latest thing that I'm doing at the moment is I'm starting to do, rather than just doing I recommend these guys, I'm actually sitting down and doing an interview with people to find out about them, about their business, and then that goes up as a blog. So rather than just saying, I recommend 1,000 words photography, me and Tom are going to be sitting down this week and having a chat and putting together an actual interview piece. So you get to know the supplier without feeling like you're being sold to, and then people can go and book them then. And also it then adds into the fact that you're getting even more great content onto your site as well. So it's a win-win, really.
And there's that phrase, or that the idea that you either have time or you have money, and because we're talking currently about free ways to market, that probably means you haven't got money if that's the case.
Yeah.
So that means you've probably got time. So you've got time to sit down and put out loads of great content. You can put out loads of great pictures of your stationery. You can put out, if you're a photographer, just take loads of great pictures and start putting them out there. If you're a magician, put out loads of great free videos of you doing some magic to camera or to people on the street. You know, if you haven't got the money to be paying for advertising, think about how you can use free things, because you have the time to do that.
Yeah. Just want to do a couple of comments. Jessica Kelly says, Denise, just a thought, try and ask the photographer to get close-ups of your products so you can create a luxury card mood board of each wedding, showing the theme of the wedding, so table plan, menu, welcome sign, that way the venues can't miss your work. Brilliant idea. I mean, I think photographers are always going to be more than happy to do that sort of thing. You know, and I think it's really, really top tip when it comes to photographers. Find out who the photographer is before the wedding. I saw someone the other day saying, "Oh, has anyone, any photographers worked with me lately? Can you send me some photos?" Too late. I mean, the chances of that happening. Photographers are really, really busy people. Whereas if you can connect with them in advance, saying, "Hey, whoever, I know we've not worked together before. We are both working for so and so at their wedding. Just wanted to drop your line to connect." And you know, as long as you credit their work and show them some respect, they'll be happy to take photos of whatever, pretty much.
And that is that. Just to quickly come on to that, I had never considered doing that before until you mentioned it to me. Actually, you were the first person that said, "Oh, you should talk to the photographer prior to the day." And I've noticed a change or an uplift in people, in photographers, giving me pictures quicker, more easily, and more of them doing so since I've started doing it. So it's a great idea, whatever kind of subsector of the industry you're in, to connect with a photographer, with the photographer on the day, because they will appreciate knowing that you're going to be there and what you're going to be doing. And if you can give them any, because they if they've not worked with you before, especially as a magician, they won't necessarily know what you're going to be doing. So if you can sort of just explain how you work, what you do, if they've not worked with you before, and if you have any specific type of flowers, if you're a florist, this is not my area of expertise in terms of floristry, but they may be able to, you may be able to help them in some way there as well.
I won't try and tell them how to do their job.
No, 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 not at all. No, not trying to tell them how to do their job, but you have a level of experience in what you do as I'm talking mainly about magicians, if I'm honest, in this instance, because
Yeah.
photographers, I mean, I've worked with some photographers who have no idea how to shoot magic at all.
They end up watching the
So,
tricks, don't they? And not
yeah, they end up
capturing the
on
moments.
exactly that. So they focus on the wrong things. So sometimes just a helpful nudge in the right direction.
Yeah. And just to catch up on things, Denise is replying to Jesse
Yeah.
saying, "Thank you. We do mood boards for ourselves, but but obviously the stationery is not in situ." I think that's a really, really important thing about stuff being in situ. It's all very well of like magicians, for example, having reaction shots of them doing street magic or whatever. It's not the same as you being at the luxury wedding venue with very well smartly dressed people reacting to your magic. It's not the same thing. It's all very well having beautiful flowers. It's not the same as a stunning bride in her dress next to a gorgeous partner holding the flowers. It has to, the more real your work is, the better. And if you are in a position where you cannot get in to get that done, then you organise the style shoot. And that's a great way of collaborating with people. Normally everyone's getting something out of that experience. So, there's very rarely costs involved or low cost, because normally it's benefiting everyone. So it's kind of a quid pro quo between everyone, or you might have to chip in a bit for the photographer, or the photographer might be happy because they're getting some great shots. So that's another thing to consider. I mean, have we been through enough free ways to start talking about paid ways? Or is there
I
anything?
think so. I
Is there
can't think
any other
nothing
questions
else.
from anyone at all? Then please keep the questions coming in, because we are more than happy to answer stuff. Paid ways. I mean, my go-to paid advertising is Facebook ads, which I'm absolutely crushing at the moment. And I cannot even believe the statistics I'm getting on my most recent ad campaign. They are insane. But that's really
Yes,
boring,
Facebook
geeky stuff.
ads. It is boring, geeky stuff that you've told me about earlier on today. They are a
Six point
fantastic way.
seven percent, Jack.
I know it's 6.7% click-through rate, and you are amazing, and that is why people come to you for Facebook adverts advice. So
Yeah.
Facebook advertising is a fantastic way to generate business if you've got the money. And the great thing is about Facebook advertising is it's not expensive. I know you currently are running an ad that is costing you like half a penny a click or something ridiculous like that.
5p. Well, it's 5p a click average at the moment, which is just.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point it was 4p, but it's crept up to 5p. But even anything under 10p a click, targeted click. So this is getting people, the sort of people that you want to see your stuff, seeing your stuff on your website for less than 10p a click.
Yeah.
It's pocket change. It's stupidly cheap. So
Exactly, and even if obviously you're not going to convert every single one of them, not every single one of them is going to inquire, but if it's only costing you 10p a click, it's not the end of the world if not everyone inquires. So it is a fantastic way to be generating business. If we continue on the kind of internet style advertising, Brett has just mentioned YouTube adverts. I believe you've done a little bit of that. Am I right?
Yeah, YouTube ads are interesting. I mean, they are obviously Google owns YouTube, so it is done through the Google advertising platform. But they are interesting. I wouldn't. I've only dilly-dallied with them. Um, Now, obviously, if you are considering doing a YouTube ad, then it's obviously absolutely paramount that you have good quality video content. Because if you don't, then you're just going to lose straight away. Um, Now, my biggest reason for not even considering them for a second, and this is a going to be a golden nugget of information for you, so prepare yourselves for that.
Okay. I'm
Maybe
sat down, so we're good.
you sat down. You're all right. I'm gonna have a sip of water before I reveal this. Now, this may be something that you're aware of already. I don't know. However, you only get charged for YouTube advertising if someone watches 30 seconds or more of your video.
That's a really?
Yep.
So, wow. Okay.
And before you ask, if you make a 29-second video, you get charged if they watch the full length of it.
Right. Okay. That was going to be my question.
It's the full length of the video or 30 seconds or more, whichever comes first. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can experiment with this, put out stuff, and if because this is the annoying adverts that come up that say, and you're just waiting that painful 5 seconds before you can click skip ad or whatever. So it's those types of video that we're talking about when it comes to YouTube ads. Yeah, someone that's clicked skip ad, don't pay anything. So if you make your content engaging, and then people watch 30 seconds or more, then the chances are, if they have watched those 30 seconds, then they are going to, be more likely to make a purchase, make an inquiry, head to a blog or whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. Jessica Hillier says, for me, it's going to the venue with my media kit, showing the work behind my flowers. Flowers are flowers to them, but it's how I look after my brides to their proposals, high quality, along with their welcome gift and what I show the venues and suppliers. Yeah, and I think that's why you've just been accepted into that really lovely venue, which I'm probably going to have to approach myself now.
Yeah, it is exactly that. It's what elevates you above everyone else. Because if they can recommend, if the venue can recommend a supplier that is leaps and bounds above every single other photographer, florist, stationer, magician, anything at all, then they're going to be happy to recommend you to their brides, because they're going to go, not only is this guy great, he is the best, or she is the best person at whatever it is they do.
Yeah. And Jessica also says, Denise, I have a Planoly app for Insta, so you can plan ahead and make the layout look in keeping and toning. So yeah, Planoly's a.
I saw an advert for that this morning, and I wondered what it was. I didn't click on it though,
Yeah.
so maybe I'll have to go back and have a look at that. But we'll come on to Instagram in a minute, I imagine.
Yeah, Brett says, what makes a Facebook ad successful? It's well,
It depends on what the goal is.
Depends on what the goal is. So, for instance, with the current campaign that I'm running, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build an audience of people who are aware of my existence, who are my ideal clients. I'm not trying to get inquiries at this stage. If I get inquiries, great. But I'm not actually. That's not the metric at which I'm measuring at. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get people onto my website to read my blogs for as little money as possible, and then to stay on there and actually read the blog. And at the moment, so current stats, I checked them not very long ago. Since Friday, I think I started it. Since Friday, I've had 300 clicks to my website, costing me £14.28. So it's just under 5p a click. And then people are going to the landing page. Some of them are clicking through to other pages, which is great. Most of them aren't, but they are staying on the landing page, which I'm sending them to, for an average of like 4.5 minutes. So, I mean, that literally, if I was to say when I started out what I wanted this campaign to be like, that is even better results than what I would possibly wish for, because it's cheap, it's exactly who I want to be going there, and they're staying on there and reading that. Now, what I can do from there is I can then retarget them with further information which is a bit more salesy, because they will know who I am, which is the difference between what makes a successful ad and what makes an unsuccessful ad. Because if you just go up to someone and say, "Hey, book me, I'm a magician, I know you're getting married," then they go, "Oh God, no," or the odd one might here or there, but you've shown nothing. I'd recommend picking up Nicholas Kuzmich's book called Give, and it's a great book. It's about $8, something like that. Have a read through of that. It will completely change the way that you think about Facebook advertising in general. I've done a number of his courses. I've met him in person. Did one of his mastermind things, which is incredibly expensive, but yeah, it was well worth it. But one of his big things is, he says you've got to give people something before you can ask for something. And this is the huge mistake that people make across all of their advertising. All you see across the wedding business, all the wedding adverts I see, people are just saying, "Hey, book me," without even thinking about what that is the impact that's having on a couple. Well, isn't it better to say, "Hey, we've just met. I know through Facebook targeting that you're getting married. I think this bit of information here might be really, really useful to you. Would you like to read this?" And at the moment, my click-through rate on the advert I'm running is 7%, which means that 7 out of every 100 people who are seeing that advert are clicking on it. And once they're clicking on it, they are staying on it. 7% might not sound a lot, but I think I'm right in saying that 2% is considered very good, right, Jack?
Yeah.
Because in terms of 100 people seeing it, if you scroll past an ad like that, that will count as 1. So think how many times you're just missing ads completely. Getting 7 out of every 100, or 6.7 out of every 100 is insane. So what makes a good Facebook ad? You've got to stop the scroll, you've got to engage with them with some great copy text, and you've got to give them a reason to click. And that is probably never going to happen if you just say, "Hey, I'm a photographer. Hey, I'm a florist. Hey, I'm a whatever." Because you have to catch people, because that relies on you catching people in the exact moment that they are looking for that exact thing. And the chances of that happening are pretty damn slim.
Yeah, that's
Hashtag rant.
Bit of a rant, but it was fantastic information in there for sure. And I can't remember whether it was Nicholas Kuzmich that said this, or someone else, or Frank Kern, or someone. I'm not entirely sure. But the value you should be giving them should have a value that is higher than whatever you end up asking them to pay you. So it doesn't have to be monetary value. So Chris, for example, is sending out ads at the moment to a blog post that is, I believe, if it's the one I remember it being, is providing value that's going to save them time. Is that right? Does it say by one way
No,
or another?
it's a different one.
Oh, it's a different one. Okay. Anyway, sometimes it is, you'll save them time, and that time for them, because they're planning a wedding plus running their own lives, could be worth more than whatever it is you're going to end up charging them to have you at the wedding. So if you can kind of make that value worth more than whatever it is you're going to end up charging, then I would be doing that for sure. Is it so Brett asks, is it in people's feeds or on the side with the advert? Now you can do both, or you can do one, or you can do the other. It just depends on how you set up the ad in the first place. I imagine Chris has got it in both. This particular one.
I normally only ever run it on the feed. I think on this instance, I might have put it in the sidebar as well. Because
I usually put it in the sidebar as well whenever I'm running any advertising.
However, on the mobile version of Facebook, there is no sidebar. And most of the traffic is mobile anyway, so it doesn't really make... I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. Yeah, normally it just appears in their feed. So, yeah. And anyone wanting to know exactly how I run my Facebook ads, you can buy my course, Wedding Industry Facebook Advertising, which is available on our website, weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk, priced at £97. Go and get it, or don't. Depends whether you want to. If you want to run Facebook ads, you've got 2 choices. You can either buy my course and save yourself about 3 grand, or you can go and spend 3 grand on ad spend and then possibly come up with an answer that works for you at the end of that 3 grand of ad spend, or not.
Or spend 3 grand, realize you've made a mistake, and then buy your course.
All that, yeah. So basically, I spent 3 grand to work out how to do it, ish. I mean, I got return on that 3 grand. It wasn't like there was a 3 grand hole in my pocket that never got filled back in. There was inquiries and bookings that came in from that 3 grand, but it was about the 3 grand point that I actually started going, I have an actual system for this now, which is now working for me.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah,
So let's move on to another paid form of advertising. So we've touched on Google ads, Facebook ads, sorry. We've touched on YouTube ads, which I thought was quite interesting about not being charged for the first 30 seconds. You've also got Google ads, which are the adverts that will appear at the top of a Google search.
Yep.
And at the bottom of a Google search on every page. You'll know it's a Facebook ad or a Google ad, sorry, because it will say ads on the link, so you know which one it is. If you were to Google anything, pretty much anything at all, you will find Google ads running at the top and the bottom, because that is how Google make a lot of their money, as well as selling the information, all that kind of stuff as well. Sorry?
I think pretty much all of their money comes from Google ads. It's insane.
Well, yeah. So Google Ads is a great way to be doing that. Neither of us are experts at Google Adverts at all. We know people that are experts at it, and we're hoping to be able to help get them to do something with us at some point in the future. For those of you who are interested in that, but yeah, it's very, from what I understand of Google Ads, it's fairly similar in terms of concept as Facebook advertising. In terms of how you set it up and the audiences and that kind of thing, and it offers you a lot of help. And if you want to find out more, I imagine a quick Google search, ironically, will bring up exactly how to create your own Google adverts. And then beyond that, you've got, within Google Adverts, you've got Google AdSense, which is if you go on any website and you see little picture adverts on it, then that is a Google AdSense, almost certainly, which is essentially is a great way for, in my opinion, and from what I've seen in the past, is generally used for retargeting. So you will see their original ad when you're doing a Google search for wedding florist, for example. You will pop up and they will click on your ad and they will have a little search for your website, and then maybe they will start looking at something completely different, and your ad will start popping up on that website they're looking at later on. So that's another thing that happens with Google.
Yeah.
Is there any other type of internet marketing that you can think of that would be good for wedding suppliers?
Well, I'd like to point out a couple of quick differences between Google Ads and Facebook Ads. Now,
Okay.
So with Facebook Ads, the main difference between that and a Google Ad is that you are interrupting their day. If someone's scrolling through Facebook, they're not actively wedding planning, which is why it's so important to give something rather than saying, "Hey, book me." Whereas if someone goes onto Google and search for Dorset wedding florist or whatever they're searching for, they are actively looking at that moment in time. So you're much more entitled to be a lot more salesy within that platform. So that's probably the two main differences. Now, I would say that Google AdWords is the quickest possible way to waste your money on advertising. It is very, very complicated. There is an awful lot to it. I have dipped my toes in, probably 4 of my 10 toes, one at a time at various different points, and I've never really found it to work properly for me. However, I would say that it's definitely my fault, not Google Ads work, because if it didn't work, it wouldn't exist as a platform, much the same as a wedding fair. But there are so many pitfalls, it's an absolute minefield. So I would suggest that if you're even considering spending money on Google Ads, I would go and pay a reputable company to do a training course on Google AdWords. Now, then it may be the case that if we can convince a good friend of ours, then we may be able to offer you that particular course ourselves. We can't offer that at the moment, and it would be amiss of us to even think about that, because we know a fair bit, I think, between us, but we don't know enough to guide you with the accuracy that we want to guide you through that. But even if the course was £500, like not from us but from whoever, that £500 you will burn through so quickly if you get it wrong on Google Ads. It will be gone because all of a sudden you're accidentally coming up with searches for something completely unrelated. Like if you do wedding, we keep turning back to wedding flowers today. I don't know why. But if you're a florist and someone searched for funeral flowers and you've used flowers as one of your keywords, you will come up. And then if people click on your site, you will be charged for that click. And then if you don't do funeral flowers, then you've just spent £1.50 on a click that did absolutely nothing for you. And that's so easily done. You literally can set fire to a whole pile of money. So that is what I would say. I mean, we're hoping to be able to offer that course for you at some point in the future, but it's not. It's not going to be immediately. There are other courses which we think are more important first of all. Interestingly, while we've got a few people watching, what would you like courses on? So feel free to put that in and ask any more questions. Jack?
Yeah, so no, I was just going to kind of agree with you there, is that it is, and what you're probably going to go, you might go away thinking is that, well, Chris is getting 5p a click with Facebook, but he's talking about paying £1.50 for an advert on Google. So it's obviously a hell of a lot cheaper to advertise on Facebook. But the key thing to notice here is that the difference will be that Facebook, that's the first stage of getting someone to an inquiry. Very rarely do those 5p clicks turn into inquiries. I think that's fair to say, Chris.
Yeah, because that's not the goal.
Exactly. It's you then start retargeting them with advertising, which is then going to cost more. So in the long run, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference in terms of customer acquisition costs between Facebook and Google. I think in the long run, there's not a huge difference at all. Maybe slightly cheaper on Facebook at the moment, but again, it depends on your industry, your specific part of the industry, and your area, and all those kind of things as well play into it. So don't go away thinking that Google ads are significantly more expensive than Facebook ads and therefore aren't worth doing.
Yeah, I can give you. You interested in some more Facebook ad stats just for a more clearer comparison?
Yeah, go on.
All right. Well, I was going to, but my laptop's being particularly slow at the moment.
Maybe you should buy a new one, Chris. How long have I been telling you to buy a new one?
Shut up. Why don't you buy me a new one? So
I just bought myself a new one.
Well, about time you bought me one then. So I recently did run more of a direct sale ad on Facebook. And just because I'm always testing, because and I think this is vital to do. For me to just rest on my laurels and go, this system works, I'm going to keep using it, would be idiotic. While this is loading up, it'll be a second. The other great thing about sending people to blogs and it being really, really cheap, it means that when I go to wedding fairs, I actually get people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, you're the blog guy, aren't you?" I mean, how great is that? That rather than the wedding fair being the very first interaction, they see my beautiful face and go, "Oh my God, I've seen that guy before." And I read your blog. Your blog was really interesting. Or I had someone saying, "Oh, I've bought your book." So that kind of, you want to get away from that single-pronged approach to marketing and be everywhere. Be as many places as you can. That's why me and Jack have got the podcast. That's why I've got the book. That's why I do the blogs. That's why you want to be everywhere, because if you're the only option that keeps coming up to people, it's gonna pay dividends. God, this has been horrendously slow. I do apologise. I think I remember anyway. So when I was doing a more direct approach to the advertising, basically saying, "Hey, book me," more or less, but with much prettier, more compelling copy text. I think it was costing me something like just under 50p a click, something like that. But this is the problem though. If I can just get into the right account, this is compelling viewing. It really is.
Yeah.
It's really.
I'm sitting here with bated breath.
It's just remember to breathe, everyone. Get to the edge of your seats if you are not already there. And what happens is when you're going down the route of saying, "Hey, book me," that kind of direct sale approach, you are only ever going to be grasping hold of the fast laners that Jack mentioned. Just to quickly go over that again, so you have slow, medium, and fast laners. So fast laners are the people who go, "Oh, I want that," and they buy it. Those are the only people who are going to react to those ads, and that is typically less than 15% of your audience. 85% of people are going to be in the I think there's 85% of people are going to be in the slow lane, 10% are going to be in that middle lane, and then there's 5%, those beautiful 5% that go, "Oh, that's 1,200 quid, cool. How do I pay the deposit? Cool, done, bang, great." But for most people, that is just simply not going to work. I'm desperately close to having this information for you.
This is incredible. I can't wait.
It's
Julie is sat here holding her breath.
It's very, very exciting. I've just realised my adverts have now been seen, or have now had 1.3 million impressions. That is insane.
That's amazing.
That is a large number. So yeah, you're looking at an average of 60p a click, so not just under 50. I do tell a lie. And from that, spent about £40 and got 4 inquiries from that. So that's £10 an inquiry, which is pretty good. One of those has booked already, so that's already massively into profit in terms of that. But the problem is, it very, very quickly, the amount of inquiries dries up because you exhaust all of those fast laners. So
Yeah.
those people who want a bit more information, that want to be nurtured a bit more, that want you to come along, smooth up to them, buy them a drink first and whatever, metaphorically speaking, they are going to be put off, or they are not going to be interested in doing it in that way. So that is the other problem. So even when you do, and those are good results. 60p a click is a good result for a direct sale. £10 a lead is a good. Well, I'm delighted with £10 a lead.
Yeah.
So as long as like one of those converts, it's absolutely fine. 40 quid for a cost per acquisition. It's turning 40 quid into 600 quid. We do that all day long. But you can't do that all day long because you run out of people who are in that fast lane. So there's some give and there's some take with it, which is why you want to be planting yourself in that 85% region where most of the people are going to be sitting, by slowly, patiently nurturing these people through your funnel or through your content. And because if you're doing that and they like your stuff, then when it comes down to, should we book a magician? There's literally going to be only one person they're ever going to consider. It's going to be the guy who's been giving them great content for the last however many months, without ever asking for anything from them. And I think there's such a huge lesson to be learnt in that, not just within advertising, but in your business as a whole. Just keep giving out the good stuff. Be patient. Be so patient, and it will pay off.
Definitely. Yeah, I have to absolutely 100% agree with you there. Julie asks if you're always like this. And it depends on which Chris you're referring to, whether that is ranty Chris or whether that is Chris's laptop being really slow and a bit rubbish. The answer to both of those, I'm afraid, is actually probably yes. He is always like this. He's always prepared to rant about pretty much anything. But that's because he's got so much passion behind what it is that he does, and behind what we do and why we do this. Is because we've got the passion and the drive to do it and help you guys and hopefully stop you making the mistakes that we made when we started out. And as to Chris having a slow, rubbish laptop, he really does need to get a new one. So very quickly want to, because I know we've been on for nearly an hour now, any other paid advertising streams that you can think of that are not wedding fairs, sorry?
Instagram ads are obviously run through Facebook. I have not experimented with them properly yet. I will be. Pinterest. Pinterest ads are stupidly cheap. It is the cheapest way to advertise. It is a little bit annoying with its targeting. I've played around with it a bit. I do not think it's the perfect platform for me. I've only I have only used it to try and sell my book so far, just because I'm exploring different. I haven't tried to sell my wedding services, but the cost of it is fractional compared to Google and Facebook. So you're paying per thousand impressions essentially. So where you might be paying £4 for every thousand people seeing your advert on Facebook, I don't know a good stat for that for Google. Probably about the same. On Pinterest, when I was running some ads on there, it was costing me about £1 for 1,000 people, which is
Sure.
great. And because Pinterest is so wedding orientated, there are like a stupid amount of categories which you can target. Oddly, you can't target by age outside of the United States at the time of recording. I'm sure that will change in the future, but you can target a particular section. So you can target a wedding, people interested in wedding stationery. You can be that niche on it. There's tens, dozens, probably 100 different wedding targeting categories.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's really, really cheap. But I was only trying to sell my book on there, so I haven't explored it properly as a thing. But if you are someone who is using Pinterest already, and you are a visual or you are a creative person, it is the advertising is so cheap on it that I don't see why people aren't doing it, because it's and you can set your budget to be £1 a day. That's nothing.
Yeah.
It's literally, you won't notice it gone, but you will get 1,000 people onto your seeing your Pinterest boards in that time. Yeah, Instagram I haven't played with. Don't
What
advertise in
is your
bridal
opinion?
magazines.
No, I was going to say bridal magazines, I think, are a waste of time. On the whole, I've done a couple of them, they never work for me. I think if Chris has ever done them, they probably haven't worked for him based on his reaction there. But there are far better ways to spend your money if you are looking at doing paid advertising.
Yeah.
And getting brides through paying. There are much better ways to do that. And the same applies to these kind of online wedding directories, in my opinion, are again a bit of a waste of time and a waste of your money, because it just doesn't seem to work. And Julie says she's just been asked if she wants to put an ad in a bride's magazine.
No, you don't, Julie.
Don't do it. Don't subject yourself to that. There are far better ways to spend your money than that. Is there anything else you want to add?
Apparently, Jack Brister is watching. It just told
that's me. Hello.
I'm going to wave to you. There you go. I waved.
Thank you. You have waved at me. That's nice of you.
Sila's watching as well. I'm going to wave to Sila.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You are showing off, aren't you? So is there anything else you want to add, or shall we go on to the competition winners?
I think we should say to people, ask anything you want to ask now. We will announce the competition winners and then wrap up any questions that are asked, and then call it a day, because we've been... What percentage of the hour that we've been talking have I been talking?
Probably about 90% of it. When we say... No, actually, sorry, can I clarify that? About 90% of it has been spent with you ranting.
I have been passionately dropping truth bombs and golden nuggets of information.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, Chris. Julie, it is not a problem. We're happy to answer your question.
No, I'm not having this.
Sorry. Yes.
We have had consistently at least 7 people watching live and staying engaged with the content. If I was just talking crap, they would have left, and they haven't. So be nice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You said some very good stuff. It's true. See, Denise said she was going to say 99% of it was you ranting. So really, I was being quite kind there. Julie, your question was not boring at all. We managed to talk about it for an hour. We managed to give you plenty of information for you to go away and start working on. If you guys do have any further questions, please do drop them in the comments here, and we will start announcing the winners to the competition. Can you remember who won what, Chris, or shall I do it, because I've got the answers in front of me?
I know who the winner is.
Okay, do you want to do the winner?
I'll do the winner.
Okay, so in third place, who did a great 5-day run, was Denise Halfpenny. Woo!
Woo!
I feel like when I edit the podcast, I should put like a proper round of applause in there, but I really can't be asked. So,
We'll just clap.
yeah.
So yeah, Denise just commented. So Denise is still watching live. Yeah, Denise, you won third place. So was that 10% off any product?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember what you put there.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly find that out. We will. If you drop us a message on the page, Denise, we will send you through your discount code, so you can go ahead and start using it to buy whatever you want from our website. And then, whilst I'm finding out exactly what your percentage discount is, the second place, who I don't believe is on this call or on this live, is Claire Ings. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. So she gets another round of applause. She wins second place, which again, we're not. You can stop clapping now, Chris. You're just embarrassing yourself now.
It was either 25% or 33% for second place.
Yeah, we are getting that information up. And then, do you want to?
Can you quickly
Sorry,
share? Sorry, because you've got it in front of you. Can you quickly share Claire's answer for the final day?
Yeah.
Because
So very quickly,
she's a makeup artist, I believe. We don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know her ourselves.
Well, if you didn't know already, then this, in 3 words, sums up exactly what she does. What was her answer?
Her answer was enhance people's beauty.
Enhance people's beauty. How much, because you could use 3 words to say bridal makeup, but how much better is it to say enhance people's beauty? I thought that particularly the word enhance, yeah, absolutely perfect choice of word there. Really, 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 really great work.
Yep, so she wins 25% off, and Denise, you've won 15% off. So if you do drop us a message, we will get that 15% voucher out to you probably tomorrow morning now. But you will get it sent straight over to you. And in first place came first, so you can do this one. In first place was...
I remember who came first. In first place, winning a 50% discount off anything or multiple things on our website is Liam Devine. Woo! He was a magician turning photographer, and I think his final answer for the 3 words was, "I shoot people."
It was indeed, and it was the originality that really got us on that one. We really enjoyed how original he was with what he was doing.
Yeah. I think what it does is he really showed across personality. I mean, you wouldn't get away with that in America, and because people take it a little bit literally. But yeah, it was the originality and the humour and the personality coming across. And I think with an industry like photography, where it is like a red ocean, where there's so many different options out there, having some text or whatever that really, really makes you stand out, like Liam had, just is exactly what's needed. So yeah, that's why we chose Liam to be the winner. So he has won a 50% off voucher. There is every chance we might do this weekly if people are interested, but we have to come up with more stuff.
More ideas first.
More ideas first, because
I like how you always go, oh, we'll do this, and then you tell everyone we're going to do this, and then we have to work out exactly how we're going to do it.
It's not my fault that you're not pragmatic.
Okay, fair point.
There's lots of congratulations coming in for Liam, so well done to him. No further questions have come in unless I have missed them. I'm just going to scroll back.
I haven't seen any. Tom says that bridal magazines didn't work for him either. I'm assuming that's what his comment is in relation to. So yes, that is, as far as I'm aware, pretty much all we've got.
Denise says Mondays are the new nights in. Thanks, guys. Love this. Well, I can't think of a more beautiful way to finish this off. Just to say that if you haven't been able to watch this live, or you've just caught the end of it, it will be available as a podcast episode very soon. We'll make sure there's a link to that somewhere. But it will be populating the various different podcast outlets. We're already on Google Podcasts and Spotify, not on iTunes yet, but will be in the coming days. So it's called Wedding Industry
We're
Wisdom
waiting for Amazon as well. I believe is on its
Amazon
way.
as well.
I think we're on Stitcher, but if you can't find us, then you can always follow the direct link, which is anchor.fm/wedding industry wisdom, I believe.
Yep,
But I'm not 100% on that.
that's correct.
But we'll put a link up tomorrow when it goes up live, which I imagine will be tomorrow afternoon sometime.
Yep, and if you want to see what we have on offer in terms of courses and audits and stuff like that, then you can head to weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk. We have individual units, we have full 8-week courses, we have a free course if you want to brush up on some skills, and there will be new courses being added very soon, probably start of next month. We'll be doing courses monthly-ish, and potentially, I'm going to say this now, Jack.
Are you going to do it? Oh no, because then we're going to have to actually do it. So
No, I'm not going to say
again?
what it is. I'm not going to say what it is because
Okay.
that would be really stupid. Potentially, we have some humongous news at the end of this month.
Bloody hell, okay, yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, so potentially there will be some huge news at the end of the month. But whether this happens or not is entirely down to whether you guys want it or not. If you want to know what that particular thing is before anyone else, then head over to weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk and sign up to our mailing list if you're not already a member of that list. And you will be asked, quite simply, is this something you want or not? And if you say yes, and enough people say yes and are committed to it, then we will do it. We're not going to say what it is just yet. So on that absolute cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger, I can't believe it.
I know, that was
I want to
beautiful.
know what it is now.
You know you... I hope you know. We've been chatting about it now. Yeah. But yes, on that cliffhanger, we will say adieu.
Why? Why do you have to do that? Why couldn't you just say goodbye?
For the same reason that you said hello, Jack, when I said hello, Jack.
Fair point. I'll give you that.
Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir.
Oh God.
Jack's lost it.
So.
You know what I missed?
So
I missed the random question of the week.
Oh no, we're not doing that. So for those of you who are still here and still listening to this, you only have to listen to this once a week. I have to put up with this every single day. Every day.
Codeine Chris for winners.
Yes. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place.
See you next week at 7 p.m. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much.
Bye.